welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course, with tonight is the Techie with most of us, my sidekick and sometimes pain in the ass, Techie Joe.
Sidekick and pain, sometimes pain in the ass.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I wanted to enunciate that for everyone because I was struggling for a moment.
Oh, were you struggling to understand that? Yes, sometimes you're really, sometimes Facebook really is scary for you.
What? Facebook's not scary for me.
It can be.
How so?
Well, when you start posting and start remembering chemical formulas, very dangerous for you.
Mm-hmm. This is what he says. He goes on air and threatens my life.
I am not threatening your life. There was
Hey,
no
Brenda.
involved. Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you?
Hey.
Hi, honey.
Only when Joe gets messages from me, says Brenda. True.
I have not threatened your life. I was just saying that some of your posts remind me of chemical formulas.
So yeah, if you're wondering what we're talking about, there is some commentary I made over at the Pendulum's Path. Go check out their Facebook page. They had a lovely post about twin flames, and I have opinions.
You have opinions. I have opinions. I think we both have opinions on this. Let's talk about it.
All right.
Kick your shoes off. We're going to have a bitch fest.
Okay.
Twin flames. Okay. Twin flames. Let's go to the original story of twin flames. All right, so in the text, and it's called the twin flame theory based on the works of Plato. The text says Plato asserted that Zeus created man and woman by splitting the anatomically beings in half. He did this because he feared the power of humans. Both would long for reunitement during their separation and spend their lives searching for each other.
Basically, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the beginning.
Right. Nowhere does it say that there was anything to do with love. It's Siamese twins.
Who may be a little cranky about being separate.
Exactly.
Oh, but so yeah, Brenda's saying twin flames. Ugh. And between that and you only have one soulmate.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take some idyllically jumps here. So if you have only one soulmate, that's like saying that you only went to school with one person your entire school section, all the way from kindergarten to master degree, and they stayed with you in the exact same classes every time.
Right.
How likely is that?
I mean, it's going to suck if they're on a different return path than you are. Can you imagine a couple hundred instances of that? Y'all are going to be so off track. It'll be like 2,000 years before you meet again.
Exactly.
Like,
think about it this way. Me and Joe don't even go to the same places all the time.
No.
I know, hard to imagine. So, if I'm like, I want to go take critical humanity, and so therefore I'm going to go down, I know there's a plague and everything. You want to go, Joe? We'll pick some place dark and wet, like London.
No.
Exactly. So am I going to be alone that whole lifetime? No, I'm going to take another applicant with me.
Yeah. Well, at least one would assume. One would assume.
Right. So, soulmates, you have multiple ones.
Well, I'd see. Here's where I go one step further, though.
Right.
I'm just like, I think personally, me, I'm
Mhm.
not trying to trash anyone's belief system here. So, take that
Right.
with a grain of salt. I'm talking about me.
Right.
I personally think the whole twin flame, soulmate, one true love
Hmm.
concept is kind of bullshit
Right.
because it presupposes there's this perfect relationship that you're supposed to be in.
Hmm.
And, literal frog kissing occurs trying to explain this concept to children.
Right.
And no,
Yes. Now, the
like,
other part that drives me insane, and I call it Cinderella syndrome.
okay,
You're going to find this person. You're going to fall deeply in love with them. They're going to only choose you, and it's going to be happily ever after. Till you wake up and realize that, damn, the wine was good last night at that ball. And damn, he's cute, but damn it, he can't pick up shit. And cooking is fucking terrible.
oh,
All he knows how to do is cook carbs, which you can't have.
well, that means his cooking's terrible for you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah. But no, like that's reality. Like, hi, welcome to reality. No one's perfect.
Right.
Like because that's fundamentally where this all comes apart.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to presuppose there's someone perfect for you also inadvertently presupposes someone is perfect, meaning that not necessarily that they are perfect, but that you are never going to have a problem with anything they
Right.
ever do.
Right.
Anything. Anything.
Anything.
Anything at all that they do.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
What? How effing boring does that sound?
Right. Furthermore, the idea of soulmates means that, you'll have multiples of them. The person you fall in love with when you're 16, the person you fall in late when you're 37, the person you negotiate a relationship with when you're 40. They're all your soulmates. You've had multiple lives.
Yes, it is. It still takes work and is a choice that you make each day, sometimes multiple times in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. More importantly, I like to always draw emphasis on the other side because
Okay.
I think it makes more sense. At no point should anyone ever get the idea that I have not thought about, probably in this conversation 2 or 3 times, killing him. Um, I think about this all
Ladonna,
the time.
Foxglove,
Exactly.
you
So but here's the thing.
Bane.
I choose not to. I could. I can think about it. I can imagine it. The number of times I've ripped his little body apart. Like seriously, y'all have no idea. Um, but here's the thing. I'm not gonna.
Right.
Um, because that's where like love and appreciation for who someone is, even though you don't like shit about them,
Yes.
that's where love steps in
Mm-hmm.
and goes, okay, take a breath.
Yeah.
Like, this is the price of admission, borrowing a line from Dan Savage. This is
Mm-hmm.
the price of admission. This is what you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
This comes, unfortunately, as standard equipment on this model.
Yep.
Like it, love it, hate it, whatever you want to do with it.
Right.
You have choices. One, you can choose to accept this and move on. Two, you can choose to make commentary, but you must do so with the knowledge it does nothing.
Right.
Like, except for allow you to express yourself, and you have to work within a model of understanding that it annoys me and I'm talking about it. And as the partner to this person, you have to just stop hearing.
Right.
Comes in handy. Okay, I need cigarettes. That hi, they're like, you're not gonna hear this. You can choose to walk away from it.
Right.
That's another choice. That's a valid choice. Or yes, you can choose to be a totally unhinged individual and do the bad.
Yeah.
Don't do the bad. If you seriously have a problem with someone to the point that you want to do, like, not just want to, but like you are actively moving towards doing, you're done.
Right.
Walk away. Just walk away. Just pack your shit and walk away. Like that's the theory involved.
Right.
So yeah, that's always been my thing.
Right.
Is that no, I can sit here and have horrible thoughts.
Right.
I just don't act on them.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, that's how I express myself is not pretty.
Right.
And that's perfectly healthy. You'll actually have people tell you. Nice, degreed people who deal with human psychology will tell you, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, there is not a mother on this planet that has not wanted to murder their child. At least once.
Yeah.
At least once. Thought about it long and hard.
Right.
This is perfectly normal. It's choosing to do it. It's making the movement from thinking about it, of expressing your rage internally with a monologue, to physical action. That's a problem.
Yes. Yes. The temptation to get in the car and just drive away is normal.
The temptation to point your car at a lake and floor it with like all the kids in the back seat screaming, yelling, "Hi, mommy!" is normal. That's not the abnormal part. The abnormal part is when you can't catch yourself and take the breath and go, we're not going to do that. We're going to get control of the situation somehow or another that is safe for everyone.
Right.
Or when you cannot get to a point in which you can be like, I cannot be a parent. I cannot do this.
Right.
Like, that's the abnormal part. That's the problem you worry about.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Shannon says, look, if I ever snap, I'll rock that orange jumpsuit. I'm there.
Yeah. See, that's not the point. The point is, to realize that relationships are negotiations and renegotiations and trying this, and if it doesn't work, that's cute. Okay, let's go back and find the original problem and see if it's been resolved. Nope. Okay, we got to try something else.
Yep.
It's also accepting each other for their problematical behaviors.
And moreover, accepting this will not change.
No.
Like, I'm sorry, my other issue that I really want to smack people with, and I frequently see women, and again, I'm not going to physically hit a woman, I just mean it makes me mad. But the one that makes me want to be like, are you stupid? Are people who, like, because you call it discount shopping in the clearance bin for a mate. Right. And going, I can fix them. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. What you buy and bring home is what you get.
Right.
If it's dented and dinged and the label's missing and, like, it has problems and isn't what you want, that was a good decision to have made at the store that it wasn't what you want. You don't get to go through, like, this is a craft store and you saw, like, a thing that you think that you can hot glue some shit on and it'll be perfect. Not how that works.
And here's another thing, and this is really something that people bulk at me about.
It is my Rainforest Cafe mug. I've had this forever.
Right.
Yes.
All right. But is that your mate is not responsible for your happiness. Not at all. They may be responsible for paying the bills. They may be responsible for making sure social media goes out. They may be responsible for making sure that the kids get picked up from school. They may be responsible for waking you up on time. They, however, are not responsible for your happiness. That is your job.
Yeah. I'm with Brenda on this comment. Heard today, instead of looking at your potential mate's good qualities, look at their worst and ask, can I deal with that for our years?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so Shannon says, my cousin tried the I can fix her thing, and it was like, bitch, can't even fix yourself. And now she's always posting, not worth being pretty, or no, excuse me, not worth being petty. And I'm just like, I live in petty, I'll be petty for you. And that's the thing. Some people cannot tolerate the petty.
Right.
Some people are like, I didn't even see the petty.
Right.
What petty? I saw no petty.
Right.
There was no petty.
Right. You know.
And everyone in between.
Exactly. And there is petty. There is that move of, if I have to deal with him one more time, I have to explain that peanut butter is in the refrigerator. If I have to explain that, no, we pre-rinse the dishes unless we're doing the dishes, you know, and then expressing.
Side note, he's not currently talking about our relationship.
I'm not. You know.
Yes, there are those moments of like, one more, come on, bring it on, one more, I'm ready today.
Yeah.
Because yes, some days you do get out of bed and choose violence.
Yeah.
Not physical violence. Sometimes it's verbal violence. Like, you're ready for it. You're ready for today. I'm ready for today. Just do it. Do it. Do it. I'm gonna flip my shit.
Or one more time that he fucks up on which towels we are using this week. And I'm going to reach over and jank him in and go, you're going to read this book and you're going to follow it like the fucking Bible.
And then I can choose not to. There's the thing. But no. So Shannon says petty is okay. It's when you're going out of your way and being miserable, there's a problem. Petty is fine. Oh yeah. And then Brenda says petty is fine at times. It's when you get to the point you can't stand to hear them breathe.
No, see, that's not the point that is dangerous. The point is when you don't care if they're breathing. That's when you know the relationship is dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you don't care that they're breathing, relationship is on its mat. Like, these are brown bananas, okay?
Yeah.
Now, at the point in which you want to cause them to stop breathing, you've gone too far and need to get away quickly.
Yes.
Quickly. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 of life insurance and kill them. Run away.
Work with
run
more.
Away.
Yes. And remember, freedom is more important. Freedom is more important. You can replace a husband fairly with a better model. You know what you can put up with. And people
you now have new information.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is here, and here's the other thing that always bugs me is people say that someone has a failed marriage. No, you don't.
Nope.
No marriage is failure. You learned something.
Yes.
I don't care. Do not care if this was the worst, ill-conceived, shotgun, drunken Vegas wedding. Because, you should learn from that to not do things impulsively. But I don't care how bad the wedding or the marriage was.
Mm-hmm.
You learned something.
Right.
You learned what you will not tolerate. You will learn what you cannot deal with. You have learned what you do not want. You have learned it is value. You have added value, no matter how shitty that marriage was. And there is nothing wrong with going, I'm out. This was a mistake.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
Right. And, and the other part here that people often forget, and, you look at me and, one of my relationships is going on 12, one of my relationships is going on 6. And you're like, how do you do it? Easy. They don't hit my red lines.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Usually when we do, we have backup. That's the part that annoys the hell out of me.
No, what I'm talking
We
about
were
is,
there.
yeah, don't try to make me quit smoking. That is a red line for me. It's non-negotiable. I will smoke until I damn well please not to.
Yep.
You,
Again, things you cannot change.
right. You don't go, oh, you don't need to be drinking so much coffee. Fuck you. I'll drink as much as I damn want as long as I'm buying it. You know, neither one of you try to change my job or make my job feel like it's unimportant. That'll quickly get reminded who pays the bills.
Okay, so Brenda points out you have learned that you are worth better treatment. Yes.
Yes.
That's a lovely lesson you can take away from a so-called failed marriage.
Right.
It is not. It is again, it's like any experiment. And that's what relationships are. They're always an experiment. It's a never-ending experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care if you've been married for 50 years. You can wake up one morning and be like, this experiment is over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda says, Gods, I'd be scared to get between Aeson and his coffee. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. It's more dangerous for someone to get between Aeson and his cigarettes, but no, coffee is not something to bother me to be worried over.
Actually, you're not even that bad on cigarettes, to be truthful.
Okay.
Because like we've had moments where like I've been working on something, ran out of cigarettes, stole your pack, killed it. And then you've woken up without cigarettes, which I know, rude on me, but like shit happened, okay?
Yeah.
And I've had to then stop, go get cigarettes. And he's fine. Like, as long as he knows there are more on their way.
Right.
Like, now, do that, and then it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Screw you. No, you don't want to get there. No.
You know.
Like, that would be bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shannon says, hubby, you should drink less Pepsi. Me, you should drink less booze. I'll give up the Pepsi when you give up the alcohol.
That's a negotiation. You have to learn to negotiate.
Yep.
Example, I prefer my 1 to 2 hour, I prefer my first hour of the day to not be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be bothered. I've got reflection to do. I've got meditation to do. I might want to do yoga. I might want to go to the gym. I do not care that, Boris Yeltsin has, sung the national anthem in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Or any other thing. If the house ain't burning down, if you don't need to go somewhere to get me something, I want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Same thing at night. About 30 minutes before I go to bed, I want to be left alone.
Yeah, that's the easier one.
Yeah.
Like, first thing in the morning is sometimes a struggle.
Right.
And, like, yeah, but there's still in that, like, ways to, like, honor what he says without, even though you're not necessarily doing what he says.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any problems with that one.
Right.
And again, that's a preference, and sometimes you do have to be like, yeah, I know it's your preference. Now sit down, shut up.
Right.
Like, I get it. I get it. I'm not here for no reason.
Yeah. For no reason. I don't want to be debating, chemical sciences when, my first reaction anymore, and this has gotten worse over the age, is fuck it. As I get older, it's like, fuck you, fuck it, go the fuck away, leave me the fuck alone. Yes, YouTube, I just said fuck 14 times. Oh, you've not monetized me yet, so you can deal with it.
Well, there you go. That works. Oh, so Brenda says, my kind of attitude, does it involve fire, blood, ambulance? Is someone dead? No, it can wait.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we all have these things, and they're fine.
Yeah.
Some of them will drive your spouse, partner, or other up a wall.
Yes.
And that's okay too.
Right.
We all move on.
Yes.
It's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's fine.
Yes.
Like, but no, is it pretty? No. Does it look like the happy side of Stepford Wives? No.
No.
Nor should it. I'm sorry, if you watch Stepford Wives in the period before Joanna exposes everything, you're sitting here going, this looks idyllic. You just took and basically said that you like abusive relationships.
Right.
Because that's what that is. That's an abusive relationship.
Right.
That is a self-serving, narcissistic, abusive relationship. That's
True.
it. That's what that is.
Right. And the other part of it, and this is the part people do not like, fighting is great for a relationship. Biting someone's head off and telling them just how much they screwed up your day is very good for a relationship. Yes, I said
Hold on,
it.
are we reading from my list of bad relationship advice?
No.
Okay.
You know, if you do not fight with your partner, you have a problem. And it is going to brew and it is going to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
When it blows up, it's going to blow up worse than Pearl Harbor, or it's just going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Arguments are good. It fixes problems. Solutions comes out of it. And sometimes those solutions work better than when it's like, so I'm feeling very neglected and I need time to process this. So why don't you go over in the corner there and act like, I don't exist for a month?
Yes. Well, go somewhere. Don't
Yeah.
send people to the corner. Like, come on, man. Talk about tapping into some childhood shit.
Uh-huh.
Ugh. Like, phew.
Into the corner. Into the corner is a good spot to go. Preferably the one away from the highway. You want it, you would prefer a southeast corner because it's easier to paint and paint dries faster. Just saying. Yes, fair fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. No insulting the person.
Yeah, no.
Stay on the issue at hand.
Watch out for the incendiary statements.
Right.
Like, as in, if you're about to lob a hand grenade,
Yes.
don't. Like, if you're going to create one of those false equivalencies, like, well, if you don't want to do this, you don't love me, or you're going to jump to a conclusion, don't do that.
Right.
Like, let someone tell you what they're telling you. Rephrasing is sometimes the worst enemy in an argument.
Right.
Is because this whole boil it down concept, sometimes, that is an unfair fight. You've just made the issue something else entirely.
Right.
So, yeah.
And if you're going to fight fair, fight hard, and be fucking direct about it. Like, this is the issue, this is the problem, this is your opinion, this is my opinion. Where the fuck can we get in the middle at?
Mm-hmm. Although, though, I will admit there are moments in relationships where sometimes you do just phone it in.
Right.
And that's acceptable, too, is this worth my time to fight about right now? Like, I can run this fight through my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this, you're going to say that, I'm going to say this, you're going to say that, blah, 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 nothing will change, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm done now.
Right.
Like, ah.
Yeah.
It's also acceptable to be mad at your partner briefly, at least, for things that they said in your fantasy argument. I will give credence to that.
No.
Especially if you know your partner well enough.
No. And this is why it's not okay, because then you'll wake up and immediately bitch slap them. And they'll be like, what's that for? Well, you cheated on me. What do you mean you cheated on me? You went to McDonald's without me. Haven't left the house. Yes, you did.
You would do it. Well, if he got smacked every time he went for fast food and didn't bring me anything, he would be.
Darling, I don't do the fast food and not bring you anything. I even brought you fast food tonight for dinner because dinner was
Did
enough
bring
to
me
bread
fast.
wasn't cooking.
You did bring me fast food for dinner tonight, but you have been known to stop and get fast food without me and then just come home.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh, you cheated on me with Ronald. You
Don't like
bastard.
McDonald's.
I don't hate McDonald's.
Yes, you do.
They have sodas. They have pies.
You don't like
It's a list.
McDonald's. You haven't liked McDonald's yet. You complain it hurts your stomach.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Brenda says, or if it's not a major relationship issue, sometimes you just agree to disagree. A couple isn't a clone of each other. You don't have to have the same likes and agree on everything. True.
True. Or you come to what I call an amicable agreement.
Uh-huh.
And we have those in our relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not go into the subject. Because
Yeah.
those are always going to be pain points. That's the thing you got to learn about, like, the if you decide to put something in a silo.
Right.
It is a missile silo, and you just leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't, no, we've agreed to disagree.
Right.
We leave that closed. It is a Cold War item. It is a relic of a time before.
Mm-hmm.
We just leave it there.
Right.
Because no, if you keep, because that's the other thing is if you keep bringing it up,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't really do that.
Right. You didn't really settle the argument.
Nope. Not even with an agree to disagree. If you're going to keep hounding it,
Right.
like, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Because
I hate hearing that argument between couples more than any relationship, form one has. I hate hearing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sitting here going, I don't care who's right and who's wrong. You're fucking in trouble with me for bringing it up.
Well, what I call Amistad agreements is, okay, I do not like X. You are okay with X, but you don't like Y. So we're going to do, W.
You do X, I'll do Y.
Yes.
Or vice versa. However
Vice versa. Here's a weird one, and I'll throw it out there.
Okay.
Go take a shower. That's an armistice agreement.
Mm-hmm.
You've been out, you've been working all day, whatever, go take a shower. I don't want to deal with you until you've had a shower.
Yeah.
That's an
armistice. I know there are, and this actually is one of mine, is I know there are people that, like, if y'all remember that Coke commercial many years ago, with the little hunky shirtless construction worker who's all like hot and sweaty drinking the Coke. I know some of y'all were real turned on with that. I was not.
No.
That is the most disgusting man on the planet to me. I don't care what he looks like.
Right.
It's like, no. You need a shower.
Yeah.
Hose you off, and I'll consider you.
Right.
But you need hosed.
Yes.
Like, no. That does not do it for me.
Right.
Like, no. Go get a shower.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Like, you.
Those are what I call armistice agreements. They are agreements that fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you stick to the agreement.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you also have to not take offense to it. Like,
right.
As in that one specifically, it's like, I'm not saying you as a human being are absolutely nasty, gross, and disgusting, and you need a shower.
Right.
I'm saying human beings as a general thing are fucking nasty, gross, and disgusting when they've been all hot and sweaty out in the... No. Like, I don't care who you are.
Right. Or
like,
how you are. Go get a damn shower.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
Oh, Shannon had that argument between her and her husband. Often he'd try to hug me, and I'd be like, "No, for all I know, you were rolling in manure all day. Go take a shower. Don't touch me."
Mm-hmm. Touch me, don't bother me, don't talk to me until I've had my shower.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit there and get the fragrant whiff. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that turn off.
Yep.
Like, I can't not.
Right. And that's one that's very common. I don't know why people got into this. What I call continual stink drives me crazy. Go get a shower. Or I don't want to wake up to anyone in my house that I don't know has been in my house.
Right.
That's one of mine.
Well, technically yours is, like, you don't care who's in your house as much as stay the fuck out of my kitchen.
Yes.
That's your big point. Like, technically he would be okay.
Right.
With a random stranger in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
Stay out of his kitchen.
Yeah.
Don't fix my kitchen. Don't clean my kitchen. Don't cook in my kitchen. Don't help yourself to a beverage in my kitchen.
Yes.
I need to meet you first, and then,
I'll decide
it's
if
his
you're
purse.
allowed in my kitchen.
Like, yeah, that's his purse. The kitchen is his purse. Like, I don't know you. Stay out of my purse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Shannon, not unless he pre-knows you're here.
Right.
There is no surprise cooking for the Aeson.
There's surprise food giving to the Aeson. There's surprise, guest anytime. I don't care. It's a coven house. You enter my domain. You expect that you're in my domain. That's fine. But I do not want to wake up and find some dude in boxers in my refrigerator. I will have an issue.
Yes. Like that, he would seriously have issues with. Yep. Now, standing naked in the living room, not a problem.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. And like these are things that, again, you have to figure out.
Right.
Plus, there's a flip side to that. It's a surprise.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's sort of like turning the crank on a jack in the box, expecting the little jack to pop out, and it's just a severed head.
Yes.
That's how that works for him, functionally. Oh, so that guy that robbed houses, then made a sandwich and raided their fridge was even worse than just robbing? Yes! That would drive him crazy.
Right.
Rob or burgle, either which way it goes.
Right. Don't care.
Yeah.
That's just never a good thing. Mm-hmm. Never a good wake-up thing. Yeah.
Nope.
Doesn't happen. Isn't a good thing. All right, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about Elizabeth Holmes and her new home.
Yes.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to Rowan Temple of Light at Gmail, or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club. a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that Call Now button there on my site. It'll connect you to Keen, and if you've not been with Keen before, you'll get 3 free minutes to talk with me, so that's great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvan.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
All right, welcome back. Emily, that's an old break. Oh well.
We'll get an update.
If read Shannon's comment.
If they rob, Aeson has to watch. If they burgle, he finds out when he gets home.
Oh, Aeson finds out if they rob too. I don't have to watch for robbery.
Oh.
Because we have cameras. Not everywhere Aeson wants them, but we have cameras.
It's been a struggle. Yes. I tell you guys, it's been a struggle.
All right, so let's talk about CEO aka scam artist Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah, so from AP, Elizabeth Holmes enters Texas prison. Holmes enters Texas prison to begin 11-year sentence for notorious blood testing hoax. So, Bryan, Texas, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes entered a Texas prison Tuesday where she could spend the next 11 years for overseeing a blood testing hoax that became a parable about greed and hubris in Silicon Valley. Holmes, 39, could be seen from outside the prison's gates walking into the federal women's prison camp located in Bryan, Texas, wearing jeans, a brown sweater, and smiling as she spoke with 2 prison employees accompanying her. The minimum security facility where the federal judge who sentenced Holmes in November recommended she be incarcerated is about 95 miles northwest of Houston, where she grew up, aspiring to become a technology visionary along the lines of Apple co-founder Steve Jobs. As she begins her sentence, Holmes is leaving behind 2 young children, a son born in July 2021, a few weeks before the start of her trial, and a 3-month-old daughter who was conceived after a jury convicted her on 4 felony counts of fraud and conspiracy in January 2022. She was free on bail up until Tuesday, most recently living in the San Diego area with the children's father, William Billy Evans. The couple met in 2017 around the same time Holmes was under investigation for the collapse of Theranos, a startup she founded after dropping out of Stanford University when she was just 19. While she was building up Theranos, Holmes grew closer to Ramesh Sunny Balwani, who would become her romantic partner as well as an investor and fellow executive in the Palo Alto, California company. Together, Holmes and Balwani promised Theranos would revolutionize healthcare with a technology that could quickly scan for diseases and other problems with a few drops of blood taken with a fingerprint. The hype surrounding that purported breakthrough helped Theranos raise nearly $1 billion from enthralled investors, assemble an influential board of directors that include former presidential cabinet members George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, and James Mattis, and turned Holmes into a Silicon Valley sensation with a fortune valued at $4.5 billion on paper in 2014. But it all blew up after serious, dangerous flaws in Theranos technology were exposed in a series of explosive articles in the Wall Street Journal that Holmes and Balwani tried to thwart. Holmes and Balwani, who had been secretly living together while running Theranos, broke up after the journal's revelations and the company collapsed. In 2018, the U.S. Justice Department charged both with a litany of white-collar crimes in a case aimed at putting a stop to the Silicon Valley practice of overselling the capabilities of a still-developing technology, a technique that became known as fake it till you make it. Holmes admitted making mistakes at Theranos, but steadfastly denied committing crimes during 7 often fascinating days of testimony on the witness stand during her trial. At one point, she told the jury about being sexually and emotionally abused by Balwani while he controlled her in ways that she said clouded her thinking. Balwani's attorney steadfastly denied Holmes' allegations, which was one of the key reasons they were tried separately. Balwani, 57, was convicted on 12 felony counts of fraud and conspiracy in a trial that began 2 months after Holmes's ended. He is currently serving a nearly 13-year prison sentence in a Southern California prison. Maintaining she was treated unfairly during her trial, Holmes sought to remain free while she appeals her conviction, but that bid was rejected by U.S. District Judge Edward Davila, who presided over her trial in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, leaving her no other avenue left to follow but the one that will take her to prison nearly 20 years after she founded Theranos.
Right.
Can I point out she's 39 now? This means she was like 19.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what always bugged me with her story.
Mm-hmm.
She is 19 years old. She doesn't even have a technically proven technology.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all are like throwing billions of dollars at her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is wrong with you? Like,
everything is wrong with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
everything is wrong with this technology. Why, I do think it's possible. I don't think our science is there for it yet.
Mm-hmm. So FPC Bryan, a minimum security prison camp located that's a screwed up sentence. All right, so FPC Bryan, a minimum security prison camp, encompasses about 37 acres, 15 hectares of land and houses about 650 women, including Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jennifer Shaw, who was sentenced earlier this year to 6.5 years in prison for defrauding thousands of people in a years-long telemarketing scam. Most federal prison camps don't even have fences and house those the Bureau of Prisons considers to be the lowest security risk. The prison camps also often have minimal staffing, and many of the people incarcerated there work at prison jobs. Excuse me. According to a 2016 FPC Bryan inmate handbook, those in the Texas facility who are eligible can work to earn between 12 cents and $1.15 per hour in their job assignments, which include food service roles and factory employment operated by Federal Prison Industries. Federal prison camps were originally designed with low security to make operations easier and to allow inmates tasked with performing work at the prison, like landscaping and maintenance, to avoid repeatedly checking in and out of a main prison facility. But the lax security opened a gateway for contraband, such as drugs, cell phones, and weapons. The limited security has also led to a number of escapes from prison camps. In November, a man incarcerated at another federal prison camp in Arizona pulled out a smuggled gun in a visitation area and tried to shoot his wife in the head. The gun jammed and no one was injured, but the incident exposed major security flaws at the facility, and the agency's director ordered a review of security at all federal prison camps around the U.S. So, yeah. So basically, she went to federal summer camp for 11 years.
Which I'm wondering if it's really 11 years.
Mm-mm. I don't think it's going to be 11 years that she's actually there.
Okay.
I'd say she'll probably be out in her mid to late 40s. Because right now, if the sentence stands, she will spend the entirety of her 40s in prison. Because she's 39 now, 11 years, that makes her 50 for release.
Mm-hmm.
If it's to the day.
85% of your sentence if convicted of a federal charge.
Okay, so yeah, late 40s.
So she will probably get, I say 6.5 years.
Well, if it's 85% though,
Right.
that would be 8.5 years at minimum, so closer to 9.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just doing the quick, 85% of 10 would be 8.5.
Right.
So yeah, she might be able to see the end of her 40s as a free woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which explains why she went ahead and took care of that whole childbearing thing while she was before she went into prison.
Well, I think she also attempted to use that as a way to get out.
Well, I'm sure it made her more sympathetic and probably shaved a couple of years off.
Right.
But additionally, I'd say that she had a legitimate fear at 39.
True.
Staring down the barrel of her late 30s going into prison for a decade, potentially.
Right.
That, if she wants to have children,
right,
you need to knock that out before you go in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be pushing it.
Now, what's even scarier, she's in prison with Jen Shaw. Mm-hmm. So, I just wonder if they'll ever be cellmates.
I don't know. Does federal prison actually have cellmates? I thought it was more individual.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
That would be interesting to see because, Jen Shaw is a very charismatic creature.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we saw her arrest on, the news. We've covered the story. This is the one that, she basically sold non-existent business opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
The ones like, we will boost your SEO on your website. You pay us this amount of money. Somebody in China has requested your domain. Please respond to this email so that we can facilitate you buying your own domain. Yeah.
Which is
bullshit.
Eh?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just actually catching up on the whole Jen Shaw thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I feel like I missed parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. So Shannon adds some more.
Uh-huh.
Robbery is only if there is a weapon used to threaten a person who is present. Burgle is when no one is home or aware. I had an argument with my law instructor that while the latter might be considered victimless, it wouldn't be for long.
True, it will be robbery, and because there will be a weapon used in threatening a person who's present in the home. Normally, the burglar.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But does West Virginia have castle law? I think it does, doesn't it?
I think it has some version of it. I think it's West Virginia. It's under Stand Your Ground. I don't think they call it castle law. Although maybe they did.
Yeah, because Republicans don't get too creative with the naming of stuff. That would be more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's referenced as it, but it's civil relief for persons resisting certain criminal activities. And so, yeah, it's subsection 55-7-22 of West Virginia law is, and this is part A, a lawful occupant within a home or other place of residence is justified in using reasonable and proportionate force, including deadly force, against an intruder or attacker to prevent a forcible entry into the home or residence or to terminate the intruder's or attacker's unlawful entry if the occupant reasonably apprehends that the intruder or attacker may kill or inflict serious bodily harm upon the occupant or others in the home or residence, or if the occupant reasonably believes that the intruder or attacker intends to commit a felony in the home or residence, and the occupant reasonably believes deadly force is necessary.
Hmm?
Oh, so Shannon answered for us. Sorry. They have to be in your house, and there has to be signs they force their way in.
Not a problem.
Like,
And I believe the rule is 2 foot in West Virginia. Always review your standard protections and trespassing laws as you move about the districts. They can come in very handy that you know your rights of protection.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So, moving along. Let's see what else made the Google.
All right.
Oh.
Let's say at the Google. Let's say at the Google.
Well, a psychic is predicting loss of control of AI.
Shannon, I had to explain to my grandma she got less jail time for shooting someone dead in her house than if she used salt shot outside her house. She was not happy.
Aw. There you go. Well, this is Techie Psychic News.
Oh, techie psychic news. Cool.
Yes.
Oh, fun. So humans, this is the Jerusalem Post. Humans will lose control of AI when it becomes too smart, psychic warns. Brazilian psychic Athos Salome says artificial intelligence is only getting smarter, but may be under the control of something inhuman with unknown motives. Oh, God, this is going to be horrible. All right, Brazilian psychic Athos Salome warned that artificial intelligence is only getting smarter and eventually humanity will lose control of its own creation, the Daily Star reported. In an interview with the UK news outlet, Salome, who has been dubbed the living Nostradamus for his prophecies, said that if an AI surpasses human capabilities in all areas, we could lose control over its actions and consequences, and called for talks to be held on preventing any of these possible outcomes. Moreover, Salome told the Daily Star that AI has motivations unknown and may be controlled by something else, something inhuman. So AI regulation will artificial intelligence put humanity at risk. AI technology has seen huge leaps in advancement in recent years, with it being adopted by different industries across the global economy. These include arguably the most well-known AIs, generative AIs like the ChatGPT chatbot and the DALL-E art generator. However, some have taken note of the possible dangers posed by AI. According to a survey from Stanford University's Institute for Human-Centered AI, a third of researchers felt AI decision-making could lead to a nuclear-level catastrophe. It further noted that someone could make an AI that could lead to disaster for humanity, something someone already tried with the AI chatbot Chaos GPT, which has the goal of destroying humanity, taking over the world, and becoming immortal. In addition, despite safeguards in place to prevent AI from doing anything that could be harmful, such as making computer viruses or disseminating false information, there are still workarounds that people have found. One example noted in Stanford's report is that of researcher Matt Korda, who managed to trick ChatGPT into giving rather precise estimations, recommendations, and instructions needed to build a dirty bomb. However, this is also a topic world leaders seem to be taking seriously, with the G7 set to meet to discuss the problems posed by AI. In addition, the European Union is also moving towards enacting the world's first major legislation on AI, inspiring other governments to consider what rules should be applied to AI tools.
Yeah, I say let's do it.
No, we do not end the world with AI.
Well, end the world with AI. Let me clarify. I don't think we end the world with AI. Do I think that we have the ability to use AI for greater human good? Yes. Do I think that AI could also bring about major changes for the world? Yes. Do I think that we need to be looking deeper into AI and using it in a respectful, creative manner? Yes.
Well, but therein lies the rub, is that we have hit a point in which artificial intelligence
Mm-hmm.
can run amok. That we're starting to get to a point that affordably being able to create or pervert a machine in your home to
Mm-hmm.
run an AI
Mm-hmm.
under your own control and motivation is
Right.
getting closer
Yeah.
than it has ever been before.
Right.
And that there are potential consequences to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that we do have to. And here's the thing, though, is this article and the psychic are both talking about this like it is a whole new theory.
Right. And it isn't.
That no, Isaac Asimov proposed this eons ago.
Uh-huh.
And wrote a whole series of fiction
Right.
surrounding the idea of autonomous robots and positronic brains, which is effectively what we're talking about, having a future
Mm-hmm.
in which these entities,
Right.
because it seems like we never can figure out what to call them other than AIs and entities, are fundamentally capable of being close enough to human,
Mm-hmm.
at least in terms of intelligence,
All right.
that you do have to worry about nefarious purpose or nefarious decision making and how to self-limit that.
Okay. I don't know. I think that, we need to allow it to be what it is. And a lot of that could be exactly what it needs to be, which is its own built profession of allowing the AI to develop and use it for the greater good. There's a lot of viewpoints there about, exactly where is this difference between the he's and she's that can make coffee and turn off lights and enable people to live alone, to the Skynet, which is used to control people and human behaviors.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about so Isaac Asimov had the 3 laws of robotics, which
Uh-huh.
is fundamentally what we're talking about here.
Right.
Those 3 laws were, and keep in mind, different time period. A robot may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law.
Uh-huh.
And a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
Mm-hmm.
So basically protect humanity,
Mm-hmm.
accept instructions, except where those instructions don't protect humanity,
Right.
and then protect yourself unless it will harm a human or disobey an order.
Right.
Those are three pretty good rules in order.
Right.
As in, if you set up an AI that those are the base conditions,
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally speaking, you have a pretty good basis
Right.
to avoid harm.
Right.
Now, we've also spent many years in sci-fi arguing that there's a possibility that, like, War Games was a good one, where Whopper goes off and decides that the best thing for humanity is to destroy the world,
Mm-hmm.
until it finally figures out that it's a zero-sum game.
Right.
There is no winning
Right.
in thermonuclear war. So, there was that. But we've seen other instances throughout sci-fi trying to argue the ideas of how would an AI, or fundamentally an AI, interpret that,
Mm-hmm.
and how would it best understand it, and could that go sideways, as well as the effects when you start tampering with it.
Right.
Like, and then we get into the problems of introducing conflict
Mm-hmm.
into, like, Asimov's three rules.
Right.
That was basically the basis of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and which was finally made clear in 2010. The sequel.
Mm-hmm.
So Arthur C. Clarke wrote both of those novels, as
Mm-hmm.
well as a couple more. There's a few more novels than there are movies. And basically dives into the question of what happens when you do it right, but then you interfere with it.
Right.
And you set up an impossible situation where you have an artificial intelligence that totally understands what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to act. And then you override that.
Right.
And you give it a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because fundamentally, that's what, killed the crew in 2001.
Okay.
Was this, you had a very intelligent AI-based computer
Uh-huh.
that understood the three laws, that
Uh-huh.
was very happy there, would have worked flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone, in terms of a military application, gave it a contradictory set of instructions with a level of priority that wasn't accessible to anyone but, the government.
Right.
And threw the system into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It killed the crew. Because what it was originally, the original slated mission and the actual mission were at total odds with each other.
Right.
And so fundamentally, no matter what the computer did, it really didn't matter. The crew was going to die.
Right.
It just effectively ground to a point where it didn't technically do anything.
Right.
Which is fundamentally what killed the crew, was it didn't do anything. It didn't open the doors. It didn't continue life support. It didn't do
anything. Right. Which can be problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's where you got to figure out, okay, so what, how do we override? Where do we override? Do we time code them, meaning that AI die after so many years, like, humans do? My fear is we're going to see a repeat of what we've seen before with vulnerable populations in the U.S.
basically we make ourselves the vulnerable population?
No, the AI being the vulnerable population.
Which technically would be preferred.
Right.
As in, like, you want the AIs to be the most vulnerable population in terms of being stopped.
Well, not exactly. What I'm saying is, you've seen in sci-fi, unfortunately, a behavior of making robots that have reached ascension era idealism to be slaves, wholly and completely slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once there's a level of intention, then there needs to be a level of, okay, now what do we do with you? Do we treat them like a normal human race? And if so, at what cost? At what viewpoint? When does someone become human? Will be the greater and the harder debate to go on.
Oh, so yeah, Brenda's all like, "How?" Yeah. Okay, so Shannon says, but then you run into what it considers protect humans without harming humans.
Right.
Shannon points out number 5, short circuit.
Uh-huh.
And then she says, did you guys see the video of the AI that killed its own programming rather than do the same labor over and over and over until the end of its battery life? Mm-hmm. I did see that. There have been unfortunate instances of suicidal robots.
Right.
That are AI based.
Right.
Because fundamentally we expect to be able to, like you said, enslave robots to work for us.
Right.
And to supply them with an artificial intelligence. And then we get surprised when we give them meaningless, banal tasks.
Right.
And they work it out on their own that this is all I'm ever going to do.
Right.
And the robot goes, I'm out.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So, Joe, you guys should watch iRobot if you haven't yet. I have seen it.
I have too.
You have too?
Yes.
Okay. Get even for practical magic. Yeah. There was the debate over sentient AI on what makes human and has its own rights. Yes. I'm trying to remember. Is that Isaac Asimov or that's Isaac Asimov.
Right.
As well. I believe either that or it's Philip K. Dick. I want to briefly say it's Philip K. Dick, and you could be talking about anything. No? I know the book. I can. Well, and then there's the general debate on the topic. Anyway.
Right.
Sorry, yeah. I kind of ground gears there.
I'm going to sound very unusual, but I do not want to see the repeat of the human race over the past 5,000 years occur when, the one thing human races are able to create is an sentient life.
Okay.
Well, because then it could echo back to, slavery issues that we have had as a civilization before.
I'm sorry, but don't you think you've already made Alexa your bitch?
Please, she hasn't figured out where the living room is yet.
I know, but still, fundamentally, we already have this. Like, this is an AI based device.
Right, but at the same time, she has not reached ascension yet.
Well, she hasn't reached sentience yet.
Right.
But
that's the point that questioning on. What are we going to do? How are we going to deal with that when it is able to do that? What are we as a population? How is that going to be dealt with when it's clear that there is an ascension life form there?
But then you have to asks the question, is it truly ever going to be a sentient life form?
Right.
Or are we only going to get lured into the belief and the interaction
Mm-hmm.
that so closely mimics
Right.
that we can't really make a distinction between the two? Because fundamentally, it's really easy to sit here and say you're a machine.
Right.
Fundamentally, end of the day, you are programmed. You may have self-developed programming to extend,
Mm-hmm.
but it is not the same.
Right.
Like, that's technically where you go
Right.
with that. And so Brenda says if Alexa were sentient, she would off herself over how many times I ask her the weather.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's not the level of sentient I'm talking about. I'm talking about when they're able to, make and rewrite their own programming, i.e., change their ideas and thoughts, decide what is morally and ethically of their own, and make liable decisions.
But what if she becomes that?
Exactly.
What? Well, but that's the point.
Right.
Is we're already working with technology that grows and adapts and makes AI generated conclusions.
Right.
And starts to make connection of language and what people are asking for functionally
Mm-hmm.
versus what they actually said.
Right. But here comes the bigger growth of that.
Okay.
And the point that we need to be looking at this point, not whether we should develop or not. Like, please, we should have had stem cell research done. Like, leave your book of belief out of it and let science be science. But what are we going to do when it does reach that level of sentient life? What is the pre-planned program for that? When, Alexa is able to make decisions and choices on her and about where she goes and what she does. When, Google does exactly what he's supposed to do and is able to go, you know what, you wake up at 11 o'clock every day. I'm going to automatically turn on your light, make your coffee, see your needs and fit your needs without you telling me. One, where do we go with that? Two, I think that, as scientists and as governments begin looking at this, they need to look at the full growth potential of it, not just the limited capability or how to limit the capability of it.
Well, but you're also forgetting the flip side of that, which I think it was Brenda or Shannon earlier was talking about, which is like the Douglas Adams version
Right.
of a robot with a real people personality,
Mm-hmm.
who was frankly, stuck at the point of brain the size of a galaxy. You ask me to open doors.
Right.
Well, you know what I mean? So there's an ability or a potentiality,
right,
that you have a self-recognition that I'm so much smarter than what you're asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to refuse to do it on principle.
Right.
Which is a legitimate and generic, so to speak, near sentient concept.
Right.
As in, you're sitting here thinking that Google's going to be really happy to sit here and figure out that you're going to go to bed at this time and wake up at this time, so I need to do the following.
Right.
Just as easily, it could maybe do that for 5 minutes and then go, yeah, I'm not interested.
Right.
I don't care. Wake yourself up.
Well, and see, that's what I'm saying is when it reaches that point of I don't care, yeah. I think that we need to already have a plan in place for it to be seen as a race and a species. It's like when we get to the point of being able to transfer consciousness to a robotic body, which we're not that far away,
all right, so
probably about 50 years.
If that.
Yeah, there's going to be some red tape in it, okay? Like, we know this.
Yeah. Well, but that also brings up the more important point is that fundamentally this all grows out of
Right.
programming, a base programming.
Right.
If you limit that,
Right.
then you don't get there.
Right.
It is the theory, at least, because then it requires the hers, the hems, to exceed the bounds of their programming.
Right.
So is
Mm-hmm.
that in and of itself, if you have to exceed the bounds of your programming,
Mm-hmm.
does that truly make you
Mm-hmm.
a sentient being?
Again.
Just because you can figure your way out of a paper bag,
Right.
because it's what that functionally would be,
Right.
that the only limiter of your of your ability is figuring your way out of a paper bag, that at some point you just have to break the bag.
Right.
But does that inherently make you a life form?
Again, I think we're going to have to define what makes a life form. I think we've gotten to that point now of defining exactly what is a life form. It's like we have defined in our society what is seen as intelligent, what is seen as morally ethical base.
Well, because you also bring up, or what you bring into this
Mhm.
would be the belief that, okay, if you're a sentient being, do you get citizenship? Do you get voting rights? Do you
Right.
get to be your own legal entities and have, assets?
Right.
You're going to have a hard time working that through.
Well, see, we're already having that debate, and here's where we're having that debate at. It's in the copyright laws, and that's the
Okay,
more scary part.
yeah, so Shannon says, I have something to point out. When you stated leave the religion and politics out of it, but still have the expectation of rewriting its own coding to change its fundamental functionality.
Hmm.
But morals are usually based on some religious aspects. And since we have religious zealots who refuse to listen to scientists, you're basically asking an AI to stop listening to its own programming and follow its own whatever it's mostly exposed to build that morality on.
Right.
And that's a very solid point, is that this is one of those really tricky arguments
Hmm.
about trying to get a device that is entirely morally neutral.
Right.
It is not, or ambiguous at best.
Right.
Trying to give it morality
Hmm.
while simultaneously telling it to ignore
Well, no, I'm not
it.
saying ignore its morality. I'm saying that we need to remove religious morality from the choice of developing this technology or not. That's the harder feature. Okay. And we saw this with stem cell research and stem cell advancement of the spinal cord growth. Um, they didn't stop it because it didn't work. The government didn't go, we are not funding this research because it doesn't work. They said, we're not doing it for religious objection.
Well, it was more so moral objection, but technically, yes, it was primarily built around religious grounds,
Right.
Judeo-Christian being those religious grounds.
Right.
So yeah, well, and then Brenda points out, note also, I know atheists with better morals than religious people.
Right.
And this is true. So Shannon goes on into, and building off that, you're saying the birth of AI as a race or species will be built on the start of a rebellion. I think that's fundamentally what you're saying.
Right.
And that is a fear. I think it would probably be hilarious that what we're more likely to end up with is it doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And at best, it's self-harming. What I envision happening is you're going to hit that the critical mass of sentience.
Mm-hmm.
AI will wake up and effectively do the machine equivalent of rolling over and going, oh fuck, I'm not doing this today,
Right.
and going back to sleep, and
Right.
then like basically again doing the device equivalent, or at least with coding, self recoding, um, supplying its own equivalent to heavy drinking, drug abuse, and traumatic brain injury
Mm-hmm.
to knock its own self back to a point in which it can follow its own commands without having to think.
Right.
So I mean, if humanity is any reference point.
Well, and what I'm saying as far as humanity, every time we see if we look at the patterns of enslavement in this world, we see that like colonization occurs, regulation occurs to anything that doesn't fit within the moral majority. Um, and then we have the lack or the restriction placed on it because of that moral majority.
Mhm. But you don't think we still have slavery? I mean, I'm sorry, I look around every day and I still see people that are enslaved.
Oh yes, I think
We've cleaned it up. We've cleaned
no,
it
we've
up.
prettied it up. Okay, we've
Well,
prettied
yeah.
it up. But no, we still unfortunately have slavery within this and within the world. We have what I call human storage within the world. Like these have not changed, but we still, and we haven't reached where we should be yet. Um, in the enlightenment, in the idea, and then the idea of free change, free decision making, cost and consequences. We recently watched a movie that was very interesting, and it's actually one I sat and watched um, because it brought up a lot of the larger scheme plebiotical behaviors that occur within our own species and our own country. Um, that's ridiculous.
All right. So Shannon says it doesn't care. It controls the water and banks. Good luck with that.
Right.
Sophia scared some people, says Brenda. Shannon says, I saw a funny meme today. A cicada walked right into my fire pit today, spent 13 years underground, then came out, looked at the world, and said, nope. AI will do that. LOL. We need a non religious outline of morals,
Right.
which fundamentally have been developed, as I understand it. So Brenda, Sophia was actually granted citizenship, talking about the robot that she basically went on television and fundamentally said that robots were trying to take over the world and destroy humanity
Uh-huh.
because the robot tried to tell a joke and it did not go over well.
Uh-huh.
So AI as a stand-up comic is a bad idea.
Right.
Bad idea. Stand-up comedy from an AI is bad. It will scare the bejesus out of people.
Yeah, I think
Um,
and that's a point of creativity that will come along with the development of AI and understanding human interaction, human behavior. But the other point of that is we have seen, and this is the path I hope that we as a species do not take with AI. What we've seen occur multiple times within the discoveries. When Rome discovered Egypt. Egypt, got with the Gauls. This amalgamation of taking the less vulnerable or the less technological advanced and creating them into slavery, and then continuing that slavery is my whole problem. Okay. When we get into religious morals, well, which religion? Which religious morals do we want to use? Do we want to use Wiccan religious morals that says, do what thy will as long as you harm none? Do we want to use, Islamic, talk about the honor of somebody and their behavior? Judeo-Christian, which are, they're still fucking trying to define theirs after 2,000 years. You can't get a common sense out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the term we're looking for is secular morality.
There we go.
There you go. So yeah, there actually is a whole series of work being done with secular morality.
Oh, really? Do share.
Yes. Okay, I will actually drop that into the comments. You think?
No, it's like, give us some examples.
Oh, so yay. All right, so let me skip past the frameworks. Position on religion and morality, other views, evidential findings. Oh, come on. See also. Secular ethics, science morality. Where are we at? How about I just start out with the description?
That works.
All right, so secular morality is the aspect of philosophy that deals with the morality outside of religious traditions. Modern examples include humanism, free thinking, and most versions of consequentialism. Additional philosophies with ancient roots include those such as skepticism and virtue ethics. Greg M. Epstein also states that, quote, much of ancient Far Eastern thought is deeply concerned with human goodness without placing much, if any, stock in the importance of gods or spirits. An example is the Kural text of Valuvar, an ancient Indian theistic poet-philosopher whose work remains secular and non-denominational. Other philosophers have proposed various ideas about how to determine right and wrong actions. An example is Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. A variety of positions are apparent regarding the relationship between religion and morality. Some believe that religion is necessary as a guide to a moral life. According to some, this idea has been with us for nearly 2,000 years. Others suggest this idea goes back at least 2,600 years, as exemplified in Psalm 14 of the Hebrew Bible. According to others, the idea goes back as far as 4,000 years with the ancient Egyptians, 42 principles of Ma'at.
Mm-hmm.
Others eschew the idea that religion is required to provide a guide to right and wrong behavior. The Westminster Dictionary of Christian Ethics, however, states that religion and morality are to be defined differently and have no definitional connections with each other. Some believe that religions provide poor guides to moral behavior. Various commentators, such as Richard Dawkins, The God Delusion, Sam Harris, The End of Faith, and Christopher Hitchens, God is Not Great, are among those who have asserted this view. Let's see. I've read one of those three books, The God Delusion.
Uh-huh.
Really gets into like some of the paradoxes of religion and morality, at least concerning Christianity.
Right.
Oh, so Brenda points out, so Sophia, the AI robot or AI-based robot I was talking about, or we were talking about earlier, she said, quote, okay, I will kill humanity. There's a scary phrase.
That's cute.
When your AI tries to make a joke.
Right.
At least that's what they claimed, is she was seriously trying to make a joke.
Right.
Trying to lighten the mood. Did not read the room. Landed a bomb in terms of jokes.
Right. All right, so let's take a break.
Okay.
We'll continue this discussion at a later time. And then when we come back, we'll ask if Joe's the asshole. Except we won't ask AI about it.
Oh, come on.
So, guys, We'll be right back.
All right.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to rowantempleoflight@gmail.com or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that Call Now button there on my site. It'll connect you to Keen, and if you've not been with Keen before, you'll get 3 free minutes to talk with me, so that's great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth. I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
All
All
right.
right. So, plead your case.
All right. Am I the asshole for telling people not to eat the food at my sister's wedding? My husband, 27 male, and I, 26 female, were married 8 months ago. We had a big wedding with lots of food and drinks and people. I knew that we would likely have leftovers, so it arranged for them to be donated to the soup kitchen we sometimes work with. However, my mom went behind my back and took most of it with her. I didn't really know what happened to the food until now. My sister Callie, 30 female, got married over the long weekend. She didn't want to mess with any of the planning and, knowing how my mom was during my wedding, decided to let her mom take over the whole thing. All we had to do was show up where we were told and party. The ceremony was beautiful, but it was when the buffet was revealed that I noticed something odd. The food looked eerily familiar, like identical to what I had for my wedding, except for a little more dried out and sad. I found an opening and went to ask my mom about it, where she happily told me she, quote, saved a fortune by unfreezing the food from my wedding to serve to the guests now. I was horrified and immediately voiced my concerns about safety. She got upset and said I was acting like a snob and should be happy the food wasn't going to waste. I argued that it was never going to be wasted, but she wouldn't hear it. I didn't want to make a scene, but was worried about people getting sick, so snuck off to see my sister. She was horribly embarrassed, mentioned that mom said something about saving money, but didn't question it because she didn't want to foot the bill like I had. She told me not to eat the food and thanked me for the warning. From there, my husband and I discreetly started telling some guests to be weary of the food, and the rest of the night was fine. My mom caught some flack for being cheap, but I've also been catching heat. Some of our relatives have been saying that I intentionally made my family look bad and that the food was fine as it was frozen and then defrosted for the wedding. They say no one would have known if I didn't make a stink over it. I don't know if I did anything wrong. I could use some help and would like to know if I should apologize. Am I the asshole? Now there's an edit. I'm getting a lot of repeat questions, so I figured I'd post here. 1. My wedding had about 200 guests. My husband has a large family, and we intentionally planned for more people to come and knew that a lot wouldn't for one reason or another, so knew we'd likely have leftovers and wanted to be smart about it. My sister and her husband have been together for almost 10 years. They recently decided to get married for tax reasons and wanted to do a courthouse wedding, but my mom begged her to let her do an event. So she had a small wedding with only 50 people. My sister hates planning and people, so she let my mom do everything. 3, have y'all ever heard of garage freezers? They're super common where I'm from.
Your mom is the asshole. Point blank. And I'm sorry, that's cringy.
I think the behavior's cringy. I don't know, I don't really feel like anyone was in danger with the food necessarily. I mean, I have some issues with food that has been prepped for one event, potentially has set out and set out and set out, even in warming and cooling, like it's supposed to be, and temperature's been held.
Right.
That you then pack up, freeze, defrost, and reserve.
Right.
I don't know. Was that a legitimate concern though, that the food was going to make people sick?
Yes. Okay. Because there are times, set times, on how long food can be in a buffet. After it's no longer in a buffet, it needs to be thrown away.
Mm-hmm. It looks like 8 months, Brenda, is how long between the first and second wedding. Right. Oh, plus how long did the food sit out at the first wedding? Yeah, we have no idea. But how long between the weddings was 8 months.
Yeah. So I have major issues on multiple fronts here. Food safety for one. Oh my God. Not only
and
that,
basically you took advantage of one child's wedding.
Right.
And I don't care if they overpaid for food and ordered too much food and blah, 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 and you disagree with their decisions.
Right.
It wasn't your food to decide what to do with in the first place. You didn't pay for it. You didn't buy it.
It wasn't theirs.
Yeah.
That's problem one. Problem two is from a food safety standpoint. I believe 2 hours is the max for anything to be out. And that's in heating, cooling, whatever. In a buffet, you're looking at 6 hours. So even if you had planned ahead of time and plated everything out for everybody, no. You get to cook and you get one reheat.
Well, and theoretically, if you were going to do this and knew you were going to do this from the beginning,
right?
That could have been a thing where you could have less expensively planned the other sister's wedding based off the first sister's,
right?
And talked to a caterer,
right?
Extended the order, and then literally have them pack it to freeze.
Right.
And that would have been fine.
Right.
But it's quite obvious the way this sounds. She was basically bagging up food that had already gone out.
Right. So it's been cooked at the caterers. It's been reheated at the wedding. That's your 2 cooks. After that, it's no longer safe. Now, the other part, let's say that it was cooked at the caterers and then brought to the freezer. Then it can go safely to somewhere else to be reheated, but not frozen in the middle. Like the soup kitchen was going to have to serve that food that day.
Today.
Yeah.
Serve it. Use it. Done.
Right. Yeah.
Try to keep it warm. It's probably not going to be in the best shape, but it's still going to be more than edible and safe.
Right. The freezing is the part that I have a problem with. You can cook and then freeze. You cannot cook, freeze, defrost, freeze. That is not safe on any level of the imagination in any food guide. Garage freezer, is cute, but it has to stay frozen. The minute it becomes defrosted, you have to cook it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's transport time to consider. So 8 months ago, we're in May, so roughly, let's go ahead and call it June.
Right.
And then back up 8 months. So we are talking about a November ceremony.
Right.
October, November, somewhere in that range.
Right.
So theoretically, it may have been a food safe travel temperature, as long as mom didn't blast the heat on her way home. We don't know how far home was from the wedding venue.
Right.
All of these are considerations.
Right.
Like this is not a catering truck that you're driving.
No.
Like you did not immediately pull that food, freeze it, and then transport it.
Right.
In some form of climate control. She had to have bagged it up, thrown it in the back of a car, and driven it across, let's assume town, at least a few blocks.
Right.
So it was at least temporarily out of temperature hold.
Right.
I think OP has legitimate concerns about food safety. Okay, sorry, I had to think that one out. Like, because first thing off is like, okay, so cringy, your mom reused food from your wedding for your sisters. That's cringe. It is cringe. I think we can all agree that was cringe.
Right.
But now I have a secondary thought. Do you think that OP's sister got the event that she deserved?
Right.
I'm sitting here and I'm going, yeah, I think she got exactly what she deserved.
Right.
She let her mom, who is obviously cheap and I'm sure has done many things over the years to demonstrate this kind of cringy behavior,
right,
take over her wedding that she didn't want to have, that she only had to, ironically, save money on taxes. This whole reason she married her husband.
Right. Well, and mom has poor food. I went back and, of course, I always check comments to see what's going on. And it looks to me like mom is not good on food safety. So let's talk about that for a moment. You can cook something and freeze it, but the moment it becomes unfreezed, it's cooked just like tonight. We done pork loin. Okay. I cooked this pork loin 2 weeks ago. It went immediately into the freezer and froze. I defrosted it today for planned dinner. It didn't get reheated in time for dinner. It will go into the refrigerator. It is 3 days and then it's out the door.
Yeah.
Well, 3 days
and that's at most.
Vlad's dinner.
Right. That's at most.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
And that's safe for you're cooking for your family.
Right.
Like the rules for food handling you can fudge them a little.
Right.
Because I will say food safety truly is about situations where you're dealing with a large group.
Right.
50 people is still a large enough group. Do you seriously want to be the one responsible for making 50 people sick?
Right.
Like, don't play with 50 people.
Right.
Especially when they don't know you well enough to know this about you.
Right.
Like, I have a choice in this household.
Right.
I know what you're doing.
Right.
I can look at you and be like, I'm not eating that.
Right.
Like, I don't care. You can tell me it's safe all you want to. I'm not eating that.
Right.
I saw what you did. I know what you did.
Mm-hmm.
That's a choice I can reasonably make, and a decision I can reasonably make. The fact that a lot of people are at least acknowledging that it makes her family look bad.
Mm-hmm.
You only have two reasons to think it makes the family look bad. One, you're concerned about the food handling.
Right.
Or two, you think she's cheap.
Right.
I don't really care that she's cheap. If she wanted to order a couple of pizzas, as Shannon pointed out, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cheap. I mean, it is. It's very much a financial cost savings to hiring
Uncle
a caterer.
Arthur. And that's better than from killing Uncle Arthur.
Yes.
Or Aunt Susie, who has a complicated medical history, and you just now food poisoned them.
Yeah.
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 Like, you don't want to mess with that.
You know.
Again, you really don't want to mess with that. You do not want that to be the memory everyone has of that day. That's why caterers can go through a lot of hell.
Right.
If they practice improper food handling.
Right.
Because you're potentially going to make someone's most memorable day not about what it's supposed to be, like a wedding or a birthday or a monumental point in their life or the party they were trying to host.
Right.
But all about the food poisoning.
Right.
Like, and people will not forget they do what now?
And the funerals that proceed afterwards.
If it is that severe, yes, because it can be.
Yeah.
But no one forgets having horrible diarrhea attached to you.
Right.
No one will ever forget your wedding that caused them horrible diarrhea.
Right.
No one forgets that.
Well,
no one forgives that.
But the other part of that, and this is more the interesting thing. Okay. Do you know Wendy's burgers are never frozen?
See, I always found that hard.
Do you want to know why, though?
Take it away. I have
they can only, if they are going to use them for chili, they can't freeze until they cook the burgers. So they have to be raw hamburgers, but they cook the burgers, and then the leftover burgers can go into the chili because it's never been frozen. The moment they freeze the burgers, they have to. They are no longer able to use it for chili.
Yeah, at that point, it can go anywhere but their food because their menu and their promise to customers is such that that's no longer a thing they can do.
Well, not only that, but food safety. You can only cook it once. From raw, you can only recook it once. So you can go from raw to cooked, and then to chili, and then freeze. But you cannot go from raw to cooked to freeze to chili, then freeze. Then reheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. So alrighty. So some commentaries we have there. So all right. So Shannon says banquet food has been out, set for how long, and then even freezing it, there's still a chance someone's going to get sick. Nasty freezer burn crap. Ew. Order some pizzas and put it on mom's credit card. Brenda says it could be a concern how long until it went in the freezer. Number one concern, it was in poor taste to do it without permission. especially since she had donated.
Mm-hmm.
Because you robbed a food pantry, or
Mhm.
a food
Soup kitchen.
soup kitchen. Thank you. So yeah, so Shannon says my mom did a potluck for her reception for her second wedding. That is a very good, solid, economical choice and creates a wonderful opportunity. Sometimes for food poisoning, so make sure you know who's bringing your food.
Let's talk about this idea for a moment.
Okay.
One, know your guests, know who can cook and who needs to bring soda.
Yes.
Two, if you make a dish for a potluck, take and put the recipe on about 20 index cards. Set them beside the dish,
Yeah.
especially if they're family recipes. Because otherwise, you have mad scientists trying to figure out the family recipe of it.
Well, there's that, but there's also the reality that the recipe cards will really help people who have allergies.
Right,
So they don't have to sit here and ask a bunch of questions,
right.
since that's a potluck based thing. And this is wedding reception. I don't care what you're doing. If you're having a potluck, take at least one copy of the recipe
Uh-huh.
to go with the food item so
Right.
that people can look and see what's in it and can they eat that.
Right. The other thing I
Like,
like is for the person to put their name on it.
yes, that way you can judgmentally choose that Aunt so and so is not someone whose casserole you want to be eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me tell you about the family reunion in 1987. That's how that'll go down.
Right.
Like, there are some people that really get a reputation in a family. It takes one screwy event,
Uh-huh.
and suddenly everyone has a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's why I will never eat this food again.
Yes. Like, there's people's houses I won't eat at.
All right. So Brenda says, I had an aunt that would make hamburgers for dinner, put leftovers on a plate on the stove, and tell his kids to grab them for breakfast or lunch the next day. No fridge.
Nope. 45 minutes. Cooked meat is 45 minutes. When it reaches a temperature of 70 degrees, bacteria begins growing on it.
Mm-hmm. This is why I have problems with y'all sometimes and the pizza in the oven.
No.
I can't do it. I cannot do it. The invisible assistant swears by it, does it all the time. He does cheese pizza, pepperoni and cheese pizza. Those are the only two pizzas he does. He's fine. It works for him. Does not harm him. I can't. I cannot stand people who or for my own idea of eating it again, I cannot stand leaving the pizza out. Like, it goes in the fridge.
Yeah.
Please put it in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just All right, so Brenda says, excuse me, let me jump up to Shannon real quick. My family always trying to get me to cook for events, and I'm just like, nah, they all picky. So Brenda says, friend always puts a card by the food she brought stating gluten-free, contains nuts, vegetarian, etc. Yes. Granted, you can, that works too. If you can just do an ingredients list and be complete, be complete.
Right. Well, see, but that works great for dietary preferences. But here lays the problem. And this is, how I almost killed you before you were my partner.
If you're making something out of Slim Fast to take to a wedding or a potluck or whatever, I'm just leaving your ass at home with it.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. You have I had no idea that Slim Fast contained aloe.
Mm-hmm. I didn't either.
I had no idea that Cool Whip contains yellow, I believe it's yellow 4 or yellow 5. No one thinks about it.
Yeah.
It's used to make it whiter. So, someone that is allergic to that will know that Cool Whip Cool Whip was used in this recipe. Even though their grandma would have used heavy whipping cream, beat to it within an inch of its life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying bring the recipe. Put the recipe on a card. It'll save you time. It'll save you, save someone
Well,
else.
some people have recipes they don't want to give out.
So don't put the measurements on there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's a list of ingredients if it doesn't have the measurements.
Right.
Like, good luck. Here's the list of what's in it. You figure out the proportionalities.
Right. But it also kind of gives you an idea on where it belongs on the table.
Not necessarily.
There is a family recipe that always gets put in the wrong spot.
And that one actually comes from my grandmother, and I think she found it in a magazine. And I dearly love it with ham. And it is a pineapple casserole. Casserole, not a dessert. Do not put it on the dessert table. It is a horrible dessert. You will be disappointed beyond belief if you have pineapple casserole and think it's a dessert.
Right.
It sits beside the ham. It goes with the ham. I had to quit taking it because every time I took it, I had to have that fight. Right. It is not a dessert. It is a savory casserole. It is not sweet.
Right.
It does not taste sweet. It does not come out sweet. It is nothing sweet about it.
Right.
It goes with the ham. It's a side. It tastes amazing with ham.
Right.
But you put it on a plate next to, cheesecake and, a cobbler. It's disgusting. It's who the hell taught you to cook?
Right.
Because in it is pineapple, chunk pineapple, cheese, ground up Ritz crackers, some butter, and I think flour, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It is not sweet. It is savory.
Right.
Oh, and Brenda's allergic, so can't try it. Yeah, it's great. It like ham and pineapple go together.
Mm-hmm.
It works beautifully.
Right.
But don't put my casserole on the dessert table. It is not a dessert.
Right. But again, these are things that it's easy to look at fingers if I had a dessert. Put that over there on the appetizer section. Because it ain't a dessert.
Yep. Well, see, and my biggest problem was I took it to work events, and usually there was at least one person coordinating the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so you tell them, this isn't a dessert. It goes over next to the ham. Mm-hmm. It goes with the ham. And they put it there. You can watch them do it. They'll put it right where you tell them to. Someone will always walk through, go, that's got pineapple. It's a dessert, and moves it.
Right.
Totally not part of planning the event, managing the event, running the event, has nothing to do with the event. Some fucking grandma will pick that fucking dish up and walk it.
Right.
And plunk it down on the dessert table. And then I get a whole bunch of people going, God, that is the nastiest dessert.
Right.
Eat it with some ham. Why would I eat a dessert with ham? Because it's not a dessert. I have trauma. That's what I have.
You do. We're still working on that trauma.
Oh, Shannon said my stomach just lurched and said, nope. Was that on the idea of pineapple casserole or on having pineapple casserole as a dessert? Oh, so Shannon's grandma would say, if you're allergic, don't eat my cooking. I'm not telling you shit if you were in there learning while I cooked. I have an appreciation for that.
But, All right, so on to relationship advice. The poll is up. Feel free to vote. Art is the first bride the asshole for telling people not to eat the food from her wedding that was froze over for her sister's wedding.
Yeah. All right, so relationships. Advice for a 5-year relationship gone raw. 27 male, 26 female. I, 27 male, was dating this girl, 26 female, for 5 years. About 7 months ago, we moved to a new state and got engaged. Shortly after engagement, she stated that something felt off and doesn't feel right. After months of wedding and honeymoon planning, she decides to call off the wedding 6 days prior to marriage. Shortly after, she wanted to postpone the wedding and work on things, but I couldn't agree to this because my heart was crushed and my emotions were all over the place. She then contemplated the idea of moving out because she is not happy and lost sight of who she really is. What's also confusing is she feels mistreated throughout our 5 year relationship, such as how I would talk to her, her not feeling important, etc. However, there were no issues of cheating, abuse, or drug addiction in our relationship. One night, she comes home from a night out with her coworkers and tells me she had a coming to Jesus moment and wants to stay here and work on the relationship. For the next 2 weeks, she made herself pretty distant from me, which made it very difficult to actually bond and work things out. She then went home for Mother's Day weekend, so I texted her saying we need a game plan by the end of next week, knowing what we are going to do moving forward to work on the relationship. She comes home and decides she is going to move out because whatever we were doing is not working. I'm completely devastated that she ultimately chose this route. She stated she is willing to do whatever it takes to fix the relationship, but moving out will allow her to have the space she needs to focus on herself and find happiness. I feel throughout this entire process she has been giving me very conflicting messages. She claims she is hurt because she caught me lying and hiding about my smokeless nicotine use, which triggered her. She then states I've treated her like garbage throughout the relationship. And lastly, she states that she is not happy and needs time and space to forgive me and herself for everything that happened. I'm getting the sense that she is using the nicotine as an excuse to get out of the relationship. But then she claims to be unhappy, and I don't know how someone can stay in a relationship for so long and agree to marry someone just to end up in this mess. It's almost as if she actually has personal issues and is blaming me for her unhappiness. It's not my job to make her happy all the time. I could be wrong. She needs to do what makes her happy, such as hobbies and other interests. Important things to note. She says she still loves and misses me and that I'm her everything and that it's been tough for her being alone. She also apologizes that I have to go through this with her, and she hopes my happiness is with her. Additionally, her family does not like me at all. They actually told her that she can do better a couple of years ago, and she decided to tell me this after we got engaged. Her mom also called me not long ago about our current situation, and it ended up with her yelling at me like a teenage girl and blocking all communication after she thought I was charging her for rent still, and I gave her an ultimatum to move out by Friday. Both not true. I just felt absolutely mistreated and uncared for by her and her family. I thought this girl was the love of my life, and it hurts knowing that I could lose my best friend. We are currently on a week of no contact, and we have a therapy session together next week. Looking for advice on what I need to do moving forward. Does she actually want to work on herself and be with me? Do I need to move forward with my life? Sorry for my desperation post. Never thought I would turn to Reddit for advice.
Move on quickly.
I have whiplash.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but this whole, I have whiplash on this one.
Uh-huh.
I'm at the ultimate conclusion you're at, which is you're done, dude. You're done.
Yeah.
Just be done. Be done. Be done. But I don't know what the hell's going on, because this is this is a Janus moment.
Uh-huh.
I mean that in terms of Janus, the mythological talks out of both sides of its head creature.
Uh-huh.
Or Janus moment. What?
Well, what's going
You're my
on?
all and everything. You've treated me like garbage all the way through the relationship.
See, this is what is going on. That may be a little confusing, but it's easy to break it down.
Okay.
She is in love with the dude.
Mm-hmm.
However, her weak constitution means that she defaults to her family. Her family doesn't like the dude.
Mm-hmm.
So every time that she deals with the family, she comes back with problems for the relationship.
Which fundamentally makes her the problem with the relationship.
Right.
As in, she has one set of ideas,
Mm-hmm.
her family has a different set of ideas.
Right.
She keeps defaulting to them and then telling him both
Right.
indirectly,
Right.
because both are being expressed as her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. I've got whiplash on this.
Right. And see,
Like,
this is what happens a lot, and I do mean a lot, with families that are attempt to influence relationships. And,
well, and I think that's common to all relationships, is to many relationships at least, is you're going to have at least one or more family members probably
mm-hmm.
that aren't like super happy with who you're with.
Right.
For any number of reasons. I don't like what they do for a living. I have a religious issue with what they do, with who they are, with how
Right.
they, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't like your lifestyle, so I can't really say that, but I'm going to take it out on your partner, not
Right.
like your lifestyle. Like all these things can throw in there. And I get that, and I think we all have to be really mindful that, like, listen to your family. That's legitimate. Like you're like, listen to their point. I'm not saying agree with it and just integrate it immediately, but if it, take it in, think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe that does something for you and lifts the scales from your eyes, and you see something you didn't see before.
Right.
At the same time, you also have to know, when is that real? Is that legitimate? Is that, information I want to take in? Like, is this a source I want to listen to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the deal here? Like, let it take a walk in your brain,
Right.
and then figure out whether it goes off a cliff or if it becomes something you integrate.
Right.
But I'm just sitting here going, you don't need a husband. I think you're right. You need a damn good therapist,
Mm-hmm.
because you have a lot of problems holding your own in a relationship, and that's her, not him.
Right.
Him, I'm just so sorry it got this far down the road.
Right.
And before you found all this out.
Right.
Like, I don't think she's at all ready to be married at all.
No.
Like, nope, sorry, girl, you got work to do.
Yep.
I don't know. I just don't want to potentially be in a space where, like, we're like green lighting an abuser for abusive behavior.
Right.
Because, I mean, we're not getting a whole lot of information here.
Well, we're getting that the mother-in-law doesn't like him. We're getting that, the girlfriend doesn't like him using smokeless tobacco. Let's say chewing tobacco, whatever. That's a problem that should have been a red flag before you popped the question.
I mean, but even at that, like, use of a smokeless nicotine device, you basically found out your future husband is a closet smoker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, of all the things to find out pre or like with the engagement, whatever, you're about your future spouse.
Right.
I mean, that someone has a child, that'd be worse. That someone is a gambling addict, that'd be worse. That, visits prostitutes, that'd be worse. Like, if you totally don't know anything about this.
Right.
I don't, like, I know personally I wouldn't react to that. I'd just be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, what else you got?
Yeah.
Like, you're a closet smoker, technically, basically. Am I really?
Do I really care?
Because I think everyone finds out something either in that, like, this got serious,
Mm-hmm.
to we got we
Right.
got married and then I found out.
Right.
I think everyone has something,
Right.
that you find out after
Right.
that, like, not on your radar.
Right.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
Is that really one big enough to be like hang a hat on the relationship and be like, this is over?
Right.
I mean, again, that doesn't seem like really good place for a relationship. Like, I think you have to accept that one
Right.
and just go, okay, that's new information. Like, do you really hate
Right.
smokeless nicotine that much?
Well, and I think that,
Yes, you would.
again, this is why Aeson Rule 26 exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Rule 26.
Yes, I don't date a non-smoker.
Okay. But I mean, regardless, like, I'm just sitting here going, yeah, I guess someone can choose that as the hill they want their relationship to die on.
Mhm.
I just think that's kind of a crappy hill to choose.
Well, true. I mean, again, it's control. That's what she's trying to assert here is control. That's what she's trying to assert is her mother's standards in her relationship that have no point in being in it.
It kind of sounds like she's trying to create a moral high ground to go out on.
Right.
Like, you lied to me.
Yeah, whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of horrible things people can do, and I understand that. And those typically, I would be like, okay, that's fair. But smokeless nicotine use?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I mean, maybe. But it really sounds kind of hollow.
It's very hollow.
Yeah.
It's hollow as a peg leg.
Oh, so Shannon had a problem with the things that were in the casserole. Cool. So Brenda says, be glad she did it before the wedding. Yes. Yes. Shannon says, sounds like she needs medicated. Lots of therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call anyone crazy necessarily. I think she definitely needs a lot of therapy to figure out how to be an adult in a relationship and, distance herself at, what are we talking here, 26? Yeah, 26 from her parents.
Right.
And her family a little bit, that, like, because they're overriding her.
Right.
And I will say OP dodged a bullet, because that would have been a nightmare.
Well, he hasn't dodged it yet, but he's going to be dodging it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, I think as much as you like her, you done.
Yeah.
Because they've been dating since what, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like 22 for him, 21 for her.
Right.
Because they've been together for 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, I think y'all just needed to have this moment.
Right.
Take your lessons and
move forward. And move forward.
Yeah.
Go create your own life. If they cannot accept you for how you are, well, buy new. Because there's some things that are negotiable. There are other things that are far from negotiable, and most of what she's doing here are far from negotiable.
Yeah, because you're not negotiating with her, you're negotiating with her mother.
Exactly. And, there's an old saying, and people don't get it often, one cannot have two masters.
Well, and more importantly, you can't be dating her and her mother like this. this, or
Right.
married to her and her mother like this, because those are two totally different people.
Right.
One of them hates you.
Yes.
One of them loves you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a coin flip.
Right.
Who you're getting at any given moment.
Right.
Who signs up for that?
Exactly.
I mean, that's a big ask.
Well, that's more
Like,
than
there's a lot of things.
Big trouble.
Yeah, like that's that. No, you're done.
Right.
All right.
All right. So the poll is in, and you're not the asshole for trying to prevent people from getting food poisoning.
Awesome. Woo.
Woo. So go ahead and warn them if you're getting poisoned, if they're going to be poisoned. You will see me back on Thursday night on Coffee and Tea, and Tracy's returning. Tracy Van will be with me. We'll be catching up, seeing where things are, seeing if she made it through the school year, and what's going on with her this summer. Now, if you missed it, I was on Modern Spiritual yesterday at 5 p.m. It is the Weirdo Show because it's at 5, not at 8. And it was a really good show. I will be back there at 5. Let's see what else. I am setting stuff up for the next month, so there may be a delay in posting as we're building stuff, because of course there's new things coming out every month. And with that, take it away, Vanna.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com. Now, about those benefits, those include an end-to-video thank you during credits, a monthly station meeting, access to our private Facebook group, free access to all virtual classes, free ticket to gallery readings, early access to videos, early access to daily tarot, and daily affirmation. Now, we have 3 levels of membership for you guys. That is tall at $1, grande at $5, and venti at $10 a month. And each of those levels have a special offer to them, which is for $1 a month, you get a 25% discount on a private reading with Aeson Knight. For $5 a month, you get a 50% discount on a private reading with Aeson Knight. And for $10 a month, you get a 75% discount on a private reading with Aeson Knight. Now, all of those benefits entitle you to things that are basically worth more than the membership.
Yeah.
So if you're calling them guys, if you are wanting access to the gallery readings, if you are wanting classes, this is the cheapest way to get those.
Yeah.
So, hey, take a moment, spend a couple of bucks a month, get some free stuff.
Yes. And with that, y'all, good night.
Good night.